In every stage of life, we encounter people who seem to drain our energy, cloud our optimism, and pull us into cycles of frustration, resentment, or doubt. They may not even be malicious, some are simply unaware of the negativity they spread. Others may be battling silent wounds, projecting their inner chaos onto the world around them. In How to Deal with Negative People, the author doesn't just offer techniques, they provide a map for inner peace. This book is not a manual of tricks, but a gentle, profound guide to preserving one's light in a world that sometimes forgets how to shine. At its heart, the book teaches us that negativity is a language, one often born from pain, unmet needs, or disconnection. To deal with negative people, we must first recognize this: their negativity is not necessarily a reflection of us. Often, it is a mirror of what they carry within themselves. The first lesson the book imparts is the power of detachment with empathy. This doesn't mean becoming cold or uncaring, it means learning to observe, rather than absorb. It's like standing in a storm with an umbrella: you feel the wind, you acknowledge its force, but you are no longer soaked by it. Take the example of Maya, a character shared in one of the book's reflective stories. She works in a corporate office where one of her colleagues, Derek, is consistently critical, cynical, and harsh. Every team meeting becomes a battlefield of passive-aggressive comments. At first, Maya reacts with hurt and defensiveness. But through introspection, and the guidance of a mentor, she begins to see Derek not as an enemy, but as a soul in struggle. She learns to set clear emotional boundaries, listening without absorbing, responding without escalating, and maintaining her inner stillness even as storms rage around her. Her transformation isn't just about handling Derek, it becomes about becoming someone who is unshakably rooted in her own peace. This leads to the second powerful insight from the book: protect your emotional energy as you would your most precious possession. Negative people often operate like emotional vacuums, pulling you into their chaos, their drama, their fears. The author invites us to stop offering our peace on the altar of someone else's pain. Imagine your emotional well-being as a sacred space: who you allow in, how much space they take, and how long they stay should be your conscious choice. This isn't selfish, it's self-respect. One of the most poignant stories in the book is about a father named David, who struggles with his aging mother's constant criticism. Nothing he does is ever enough. She belittles his choices, compares him to others, and replays decades-old grievances like broken records. He realizes that for years, he was trying to win her approval, but he was sacrificing his self-worth in the process. The turning point comes when he begins to love her without needing her validation. He learns to visit her with love, but to leave without guilt. He creates a boundary, not a wall, but a threshold. And that shift frees him. This brings us to one of the book's most transformational messages: your worth is not up for negotiation. Negative people often operate by making others doubt themselves, whether through manipulation, criticism, gaslighting, or control. But the author gently insists: you are not required to shrink to make someone else comfortable. Your light doesn't have to dim to match someone else's darkness. When you anchor yourself in your values, your purpose, and your truth, the influence of negativity lessens. You are no longer reacting from insecurity, you are responding from wisdom. In one chapter, the book highlights how emotional triggers can entangle us with toxic energy. When someone says something hurtful, what gets triggered inside us? Is it an old wound, an unhealed memory, a fear of abandonment or rejection? Dealing with negative people becomes a mirror into our own inner landscape. And so the author invites us to see these difficult interactions as spiritual practices. Not because we enjoy the pain, but because we grow through it. Through mindfulness, journaling, or simply pausing before reacting, we begin to unlearn old patterns. We stop fighting fire with fire. We learn the sacred art of non-reaction, not out of passivity, but from strength. There's a deeply moving section in the book about a woman named Aisha, who is married to a man struggling with depression and bitterness. Over the years, his negative outlook begins to erode her own joy. But rather than leaving immediately or attacking him for his state, she embarks on a dual journey, one of compassionate support and firm boundaries. She encourages him to seek help, sets limits on what behavior is acceptable, and crucially, starts rebuilding her own joy. Her healing journey becomes a beacon, and eventually, her husband too begins to rise. Their love is reborn not through rescuing, but through reclaiming each other's dignity, hope, and light. The book also offers practical tools that feel like spiritual disciplines. For instance, limit your exposure without cutting off your humanity. If someone constantly brings you down, reduce how much time you spend with them. If it's a colleague, keep interactions focused and professional. If it's a friend or family member, find rhythms of connection that do not drain you. Another vital insight: respond, don't react. Reaction is impulsive, driven by ego and emotion. Response is thoughtful, rooted in clarity. A powerful exercise the book recommends is the sacred pause. Before replying to a negative comment, take 3 deep breaths. Ask yourself, is this worth my peace? What is the most loving, but firm, way I can respond? In many ways, the book reminds us that we are all, at different times, both the giver and receiver of negativity. That's why compassion is essential. We are all works in progress. But compassion doesn't mean enabling toxic behavior. It means understanding others without abandoning ourselves. It means forgiving without forgetting our needs. It means choosing peace, even when others choose pain. Perhaps the most transformative message comes near the end of the book: negativity is not the enemy, unconsciousness is. Most negative behavior comes from people who are unaware of the harm they cause, unaware of the wounds they carry, unaware of the cycles they're repeating. When we awaken to this, we can meet negativity not with hatred, but with clarity. And that clarity allows us to walk away when needed, to speak truth when required, and to love ourselves fiercely through it all. How to Deal with Negative People is ultimately not a book about them, it's a book about us. About how we choose to protect our peace, stand in our truth, and honor our journey, even when surrounded by chaos. It teaches that we don't have to fix everyone. We don't have to carry what's not ours. We don't have to win every argument, explain ourselves endlessly, or tolerate what hurts our spirit. We simply have to stay rooted in love for others, yes, but also for ourselves. You leave the book not just with a set of tools, but with a deeper awareness of your own inner power. A power that doesn't shout or fight, but simply shines. Like the sun that rises no matter how long the night, you realize that your light is not dependent on anyone else's weather. It is yours to protect, to nurture, and to share with the world, wisely, intentionally, and without apology.